I may not look like it, but at one time in my life I was a prison guard. I took it as my personal goal in life to make sure people paid for their sins. It was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it. After I became a Christian, I boasted about my job to other Christians. God, after all, is a God of justice, isn't he? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that my job of prison guard didn't seem to fit my God-given gifts and talents. But that left me between a rock and a hard place. There was no way I could leave my job. Who else could make sure that those people who sinned against me would pay for their sins? No one could do the job as well as I could. So, I stayed put. I had resolved that I would be a prison guard for life. After all, every good thing we do in life requires a sacrifice. Nobody is as good at keeping those people imprisoned as well as I can. I'll just have to give up my own ambitions until these sinners have paid for their sins against me. So, I turned my back on changing jobs and concentrated on being really good at making people pay for their sins against me. But the more I concentrated on those who sinned against me, the more I noticed that they didn't seem to be suffering as much as prisoners should suffer. Here I was putting my career on hold. Indeed, I was putting my life on hold, in order to assure that these people would pay for their sins against me. But they didn't seem to be suffering at all in spite of all my good intentions. So, finally, as casually as I could, I asked one of my prisoners why he didn't seem to be suffering from my imprisonment. And do you know what he said? He said that he wasn't even aware that he was in prison. But that wasn't the worst of it. He asked me why on earth I would think he should be in prison. So, I reminded him of his sin against me. And do you know what he said? He said he had no recollection of the incident. No recollection. That's impossible. Well, just to confirm that he was in denial, I asked one of the other prisoners I was keeping imprisoned because of his sins against me. He had no idea what I was talking about either. Do you mean I gave up my career, my whole life, to imprison these perpetrators and they were not even aware they were being punished? Then, it struck me. I was a prison guard, but no one was in my prison. I was the only one in my prison. I had given up my career, my personal life, everything, only to find out that I was my only prisoner. That's when I turned in my resignation and changed careers. Listen, I have nothing against prison guards, but being a prison guard didn't make use of my gifts and talents. I decided to apply my gifts and talents to a ministry that actually made a difference. Based on a play by Bob Snook. Conditions for use: do not sell any part of this script, even if you rewrite it. Pay no royalties, even if you make money from performances. You may reproduce and distribute this script freely, but all copies must contain this copyright statement.